Wedding ring? You must have a great personality.
Or he's rich.
Maybe it's a green card marriage.
Instead of being gracious, they violate in a major way.
Hello everyone and welcome to Hats Off. I'm your host and owner of 2000 Thoughts, D'Angelo Edwards. And today I'd like to...
Whoa, hold on. D'Angelo, what are you doing in my building?
Oh hey man, thought we would have bumped into each other by now. I record here too.
Since when?
Pretty much since I blew up my last studio. Got a sweet deal too. Have you seen it yet?
Seen what?
Check outside.
Huh. I need to go outside more, but that doesn't explain why you're on my set.
Why don't you talk to your manager about it? I got a feeling he'll side with me.
Well, maybe I will.
A few moments later.
What do you mean we couldn't even afford the goats? Fine, whatever. Well, due to budget cuts, we apparently have to share a set.
Yeah, sure. Budget cuts.
What does that mean?
Huh? You're hearing things. Too many thoughts. Start the show.
Jesus, what did he do?
Do?
You know what? Forget it. I don't want to know. Let's just start the show. I definitely had a little bit of doubt about the Animaniacs reboot, considering how in the 90s the original was, but I have to say, I was pretty satisfied. It managed to build off of what came before while keeping things pretty fresh.
Yeah, I was shocked by how much I liked it. It definitely had some problems, and there were some things that I would have done differently, but overall, I think they made a solid effort.
It definitely is something that I think can hit everyone like back in the day. Honestly, I think anyone can really get into this.
Tell us, tell us.
This reboot is done by some new blood in the industry that stretches from an assortment of different shows and movies, including some Family Guy and other things that would take forever to list off. Honestly, it's just a matter of you're better off looking up these people and seeing their work themselves because we ain't got the time for that. It is important to say though that Tom Ruegger is not working on this iteration, so you may feel that bit of a difference here, but I don't really notice it too well. I still feel like they captured the basic spirit of the show.
So, the basic setup in the show is that after 22 years of being off the air, the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister are finally back in the limelight. Though things have changed quite a bit. Similar to the Wakko special, the Warners now find themselves in the present day, with plenty of new references to make, and people to annoy.
The Warners are also joined by Pinky and the Brain, which is about two lab rats trying to take over the world. I'll admit I wasn't the biggest fan of them growing up. They kind of fell into the section of skits I would skip. Now, I think they're fun segments, but I don't really find myself really busting a gut over them, but I can get some enjoyability from them here.
And that's pretty much it. It was confirmed beforehand, but the only sketches that make a return are the Warners and Pinky and the Brain. No Slappy, no Goodfeathers, no Mr. Skullhead. Oh god, there's no Mr. Skullhead, cancel it.
Hold on there, Cousin Skeeter. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Still works with what they got, though I will advise against binging it. This series just lacks the variety that very much can weigh on you after too many episodes. But thankfully, it still packs a punch on the love and care to its jokes and characters. There was a bit of backlash some neckbeards decided to have with this series. You got some crybaby bitch-made anti-SJWs crying about how the show's being left-leaning, even though it's always been left-leaning, even in the original. Like, Jesus, how sad are you that you can't properly consume the media you watch? It's been like this since the beginning. Come on. Like, you're literally the embodiment of that Get a Life foundation. Just stop watching TV if you can't understand how it works.
To be fair, they did make a lot of jokes about our president.
Is that a problem?
Nope.
Alright then. But seriously.
There is hope. There is help. There is the Please, please, please get a life foundation.
While this iteration is lacking some characters, it still manages to put a strong characterization on the ones they have. You have the Warner siblings, who are still their goofy selves this time around. They still go against the mainstream when it comes to references, while also having their Looney Tunes antics against some villain of the week or just random people.
Oh, how is this possible?
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with the Warners, though I have a few problems with them. A little nitpick I have that really isn't the show's fault is just that the actors are getting older. I'd much rather have the originals than new people, but it can be a little distracting. However, as the show goes on, they do start to feel a lot better.
Another thing of note with Dot is you can get a mix of Dot and Daisy Duck.
And I'm Princess Angelina Contessa Luisa Francesca Banana Balana. Oh, shoot!
Nice placement on the banners, Rosa. Those shrimp puffs could be puffier, Sean. Are these rhododendrons? We gotta get them out of here before she shows up.
Here, take these salvage Minoan temple doors and face them west so they catch the late light and provide the perfect backdrop for our next stone massage station.
Though with Dot by the end of the season, her voice sounds way more like in the original series, so it could just be a matter of the actress Tress MacNeille getting back into the groove of things. This even goes to the characterization, honestly.
The Warners themselves seem a little off in the way they're portrayed. Like, instead of Wakko being the eater, they instead turn him into the gross one, even showing him flicking a green booger, which I don't think they would have done in the original. Also, they can be a little mean to each other, but those instances aren't too often. I still think they're plenty good.
Their meanness can be off-putting, like sometimes they hit each other or make remarks that don't feel like they would say that.
Oh, right, it's a pull, not a push. Equestrian, the event where the horse does all the work and the human takes all the credit.
You know a lot about taking all the credit, Mr. Countries of the World song.
Now, personally, I see this as the show incorporating a sort of sibling rivalry. It adds to the characters' dynamics and can give a bit of reality to their relationship, which is kinda needed since it's just them and Pinky and the Brain to carry the show. But I could see why some might be turned off by the use of sibling rivalry for them.
But where they really hit the nail on the head was with Pinky and the Brain. Out of all of the returning actors, Maurice LaMarche's comeback as Brain is probably one of the most seamless. And even though I think Pinky is a bit too passive in this reboot, overall, the Pinky and the Brain shorts are pretty much a return to form. They even updated the intro.
Warning to those that are high while watching it, you will trip balls. The next thing to mention is the new characters. You got the CEO lady that sadly doesn't do much. She replaces plots from the old series, but she's not given any time to really be a character.
Give me back my old white guy. I want my old white guy back. She's hot though. Also, I hate Ralph's new color palette. It's gross and he looks like a UPS man.
But anyway, they don't really add much new in terms of characters. You got some standard villains that are all about hurting the Warners or just being bad. Then you get some unique antagonists like a rapper that actually has a good resolution to his story that actually puts a smile to my face. Won't spoil it for you, honestly. Just kind of a nice little moment that feels very different from what you would see in the original. These characters all have some good strengths that help make this reboot stand on its own.
Wow, really puts things into perspective.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back in Paris.
The animation this time around has a more clean feel to it. It definitely has a better look to it for HD. You can get motion on characters that's buttery smooth and helps with impacts for slapstick, but they throw mixes of rigging in some shots at time and you can tell. Though the thing about it is, if you aren't much of an expert on animation, it may go unnoticed, but sometimes it's fairly obvious.
Let's take advantage of the audience.
We already are, sis, by showing them ads based on their stolen personal data.
Though there can be moments where they change style just for a bit and it can be pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, I would say for the most part the animation is well handled, though there are a few shots where besides the rigging, it looks like regular frame-by-frame stuff was touched up with some motion tweening, leading to some movement that feels smooth, but mechanically so, taking you out of it a bit.
The designs this time around are a bit more angular. I find it as a nice way to touch up the look of the characters, which can play into the animation with the rigging portions. There are some new skits to make up for the other characters not being there that are okay. Nothing really stood above the fray except like this one where an alien is trying to signal an alien fleet to take over the world but gets stopped by this little girl who for some reason sounds like she's just rambling about nothing. Doesn't help that it feels like how the voice actors was directed, so it's a bit odd.
You wanna see outside? Smell the fresh air. The trees outside, there's grass outside. The some of you are lucky, and your parent could afford a sandbox. You go in your house.
When it comes to the humor, they hit it out of the park with a lot of the jokes. Those hidden adult jokes are prevalent throughout, and as well as some that I don't know if I'd classify as jokes, by which I mean in one segment, there's a character whose pubes are just out in the open.
Odysseus, should we slow down? It's getting a little scary.
Nothing is too scary for the great Odysseus.
This nigga dick was all over the place, okay?
The show is definitely keeping in mind it has an adult audience this time around, especially since it relies on referential humor. It even allows some soft cursing from characters.
I am going to put her through hell.
I thought you were in hell.
Never in my life did I expect to hear Wakko say hell.
Where the show really shines for me though, is in its sound design. This is one of the things where I can safely say it's just as good as the original. The way the music follows the character movements, how the tone fluctuates with it, and even the more modern sounding stuff fits right in. Like you could probably overlay it with the original and no one would be able to tell. But I did notice something about the character designs in this show. In one of the segments, everything was going fine, but then my eye fell upon a certain background character. That one. That's Human Kimberly from Cat Scratch, to a T. Now at first I thought someone just stole a drawing, but I did some digging. I went through all the character designers, and when I finally got to the last one, I found her. Jennifer Wood. She worked on Cat Scratch, and I caught her. You hear that? I caught you in your dirty little Cat Scratch secret.
Jesus Christ, HR is gonna be pissed.
That's why the right man for the job is always a woman.
This is a pretty great reboot. It manages to keep the spirit of what makes Animaniacs so special while allowing a fresh take on the characters and humor. There's a bit of some getting used to in terms of characterization, and the animation definitely could use a bit of touching up in terms of what they want to do. Either just rigging or smooth 2D animation, but it's not that bad that you can't enjoy it.
Yeah, overall I'm pretty satisfied. This is the first season, so I'm sure they're gonna work out some kinks. But I can definitely feel the effort here. And I think that by the time the second season rolls around, they'll be in a pretty good spot. Just let me know if my old bald white guy is okay though.
I'm sure he's fine. The creators mentioned that old characters were gonna come back in later seasons, so I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. But this was actually pretty fun, D'Angelo. I'm glad we actually got to do this.
Yeah. And with only a minimal amount of blackmail.
Wait, what?
Me too. Wait, I just realized something. If Mann is here with us, that means there's a way out. I can leave. I can... What if I told you about all that hope stuff?
I feel I should probably talk to management about that. But that's just a thought.